Hello everyone, welcome back to Naomi's Bookshelf. We are going to do the answers to the Q&A questions that you all posted on my Q&A announcement video. So a couple weeks ago, I posted a video asking for questions for this Q&A in celebration of 400 subscribers. So thank you for your questions. I have not too many, but enough that I am excited to answer them. And there are some tough ones to answer. So we're just gonna go straight into them. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to put the questions up here, but I will definitely mention whoever asked the questions. So the first question, I'm just gonna go according to the video. And the first question was from Berna's Bookish Adventures that I'm gonna answer, and that was about DNFs. Now, I have no issue with DNFing. She just basically is asking, how do I feel about DNFing, and do I DNF, and what's the whole thing with that? So in regards to DNFs, I DNF whenever I feel like it, to be honest. That is why a lot of the books I rate high, because I do not read books I am not feeling interested in or books that I just do not care about. If I'm reading a book and about 50 pages in, I am feeling really meh about, often I'll just put it down. Unless it is something where it's for a book club or it's an arc, I will just not care anymore, and I'll just put it down. Maybe I'll put it to the side if I own it already, and I'll try again at a future date. For the most part, I do not force myself to continue in a book that I am not enjoying very much or I'm not gripped with. So for the most part, yes, I DNF quite a lot in that regards. I try to give a book 50 pages. There have been books where I have read a chapter or two and really disliked it, and then I put that down to get rid of for sure. But sometimes after 50 pages, I just look at it and think, do I want to pick this up? No. Do I care if I pick this up? No. And do I care about the characters? No. Do I care about the plot? No. And then I just don't pick it up anymore. And that is why, for the most part, I only rate books highly, because I only read books that I'm enjoying, and I don't care about putting down the books I'm not enjoying. So that is how I feel about DNFs. I strongly encourage them and frequently use them, although a lot of the times when I own a book, I keep it if I'm still mildly interested for the future. So if I think it's a me problem, where it's my health being in the way, or if I'm just not in the right mood, I will save it for a later date and try again in the future. But I have no problems on hauling it in the future if I look at it and think I'm still not gonna care about it, so I get rid of it later. So I genuinely have no problem DNFing it, unhauling it, whatever. I don't wanna read books I don't wanna read. It just doesn't sound like a good use of my time to me. So the next question is from Elizabeth Ann Reed. So Anne asked, what would be my big dream to do if nothing held me back? No money or life goals or like life or commitments or anything would hold me back. And honestly, I would love to just do a big tour of the world and visit all the historical sites in the world. I would love to go to China or Asia and just look at the old Silk Road, or go to the Great Wall of China and see that. I'd love to go to Egypt and go through the Valley of the Kings. I would love to go to the pyramids, go see the ancient temples that are there. I would love to go and see Rome and go see the Colosseum. I would just, all of those things would be amazing to me. And I wouldn't want to just limit it to those things we know about. I want to go to Africa and go see all of those cultures there and see their historical monuments. And I'd want to go to Mexico and I'd want to go see their pyramids, and I'd want to go to South America and see their historical sites. I'd want to basically go on a big learning adventure of the whole world. That would be my huge dream. I'm just a lifelong learner, and that is something I would want to do if I could ever have the time or the money or the health resources. Honestly, I would just love to see the world and see what the world was like for other people in other times. That would just be amazing. And also to go and see all the I don't know, all the historical documents from those times as well. That would just also be incredible. So Amy Garza asked, have I always loved reading, and have I ever strayed from it, and have my reading tastes changed? And the answer is obviously going to be different for all those questions. The first thing is, I have not always loved reading, and maybe it should be yes, but I did not like reading as much as a child. When I was 8, my mom struggled to get me to love reading before that. And then when I was 8, my mom convinced me that if I read, here's the bribery, if I read, 3 books or something in a month, she would buy me a chocolate bar. So that was pretty strong bribery for a child. I definitely took advantage of that. So I read 3 books because I just wanted my chocolate bar. And then the next month she said, well, now you have to read, 5, 10? I don't remember. Either way, I surpassed that and read like 15 to 20 books. So I got a chocolate bar, and she did not guarantee me any more chocolate bars, but I was hooked on reading. So from 8 years old on, it's been a lifelong love. But I have not strayed from it since. I definitely made sure I'd stayed in love with reading even through college. I know that many people, when they went to college, when I went to college at least, many people told me they went into college loving reading and they left college, or they were in college hating it. And so I was determined not to let that happen to me. And so I set aside time every Tuesday afternoon. I did not have class. I never had a class on Tuesday afternoon. And so I got a library card for my local little library. And I took out a book every Tuesday afternoon. And as I am a fast reader, I was able to take out a book every Tuesday. I'd walk over to the library, take one out, and read it that Tuesday afternoon into the evening, and then I'd return it the following Tuesday and take out a new one. And so every Tuesday afternoon, that was dedicated to my non-school reading. It was dedicated to pleasure reading only, and that's how I kept my love of reading strong, so I never strayed away from it. So long answer to a short question, no, I have not strayed from my reading. I have been very diligent in that. I never wanted to lose that love, so I kept a good focus on it and tried to make sure that was a healthy love, and I did not lose it to school assignments. And then the last one was, how have my tastes changed? I have many different tastes now. When I was younger, I definitely loved Magic Treehouse books, which are interesting because they were, looking at them now, they're time travel books, which I never ever touch now. I never read time travel books. I just don't find them interesting to me at all. If someone tells me there's a time travel aspect, I will not pick up that book. So it's funny to me that that's what pulled me into a book, books in general. But I also really read a lot of historical fiction, and I do own a lot of historical fiction and enjoy a lot of historical fiction, but I'm just not picking it up lately. So maybe that's something I'm straying from right now, or that's a season I'm not currently in historical fiction. Fantasy was also something that I was into more so as a kid, and I left it, and then I have slowly gone back towards it, but not full force. I'm still not a big fantasy reader. If you've watched many of my videos, you know that. And I mean, I do enjoy fantasy, but I'm not someone who will go towards it. I kind of need a push to pick it up, and I do enjoy a lot of fantasy that I pick up, but like I said, that's very few and far between. So for the most part, I still really enjoy my mysteries. I still really enjoy classics. That's something I picked up a little bit as a kid, but not much. But as a teen on, I have steadily enjoyed classics and continue to love classics. I still don't love a perfectly wrapped up ending typically. It's very funny how that works out for me. I like a little bit of a mess. I don't like everyone paired off in a romance novel. I don't like everything to be perfectly tied up in a bow, unless I know that walking into a book to expect it. So yeah, no, it's interesting. My tastes have changed in some ways, but in other ways they haven't. And I like that I also know my tastes. I know what I'm interested in and what I'm not interested in, so I can avoid what I don't like. Even though I do want to try those genres, and I do try them occasionally, but they tend to prove me right. So I don't know what that says. I I am a stubborn person, so what can I say? All right, next question. So the next question is from Novel Novels. Emily there asked me, what is my favorite classic? And that's a tough question. I'm a huge classics reader. I have basically a whole classics bookshelf, and I'm looking over it right now because that's where I normally film, but I just felt like being cozy right now. And I can't really tell you. If I were to choose a favorite classics author, I'd go with a modern classics author and go with Agatha Christie. Does that count? Otherwise, I don't know. I might go with The Count of Monte Cristo because I really do love that book so much. That is one of my favorites, definitely. But I don't know what else would be an all-time favorite on there. Because there's just so many good ones. There's so many good ones that I've read. Because like I say, I don't continue in books I'm not enjoying. So a lot of the classics that I've read are ones I've really enjoyed. So yeah, maybe The Count of Monte Cristo. But if I'm choosing a favorite classics author, I'm gonna go with a modern classics author and go with Agatha Christie. Next question. All right, so this one was from Victoria from A Musical Bookworm. And this was the question that really stumped me. Like, Emily's question stumped me, but this one really stumped me, and that is, what top 3 books impacted my life? Now, I mean, how do you even pick 3 books, Victoria? First question to you. That's my question for the comments below. What are your 3 favorite books or most impactful books in your life? Can you think of 3 off the top of your head? Anyways, so I'm gonna go with the Bible, first of all. This is part of being a Christian. This is such an important part of my faith, and this has like structured everything in my life. It structured my family's life, my morals, my beliefs, my relationships. This is a very important part of my life, and the most important part of my life. So definitely the Bible. And then I was like, what do I choose next? Now I'm gonna go with one that is not my favorite book, which will be a shock to everyone in the classics community, but Pride and Prejudice. So Pride and Prejudice is not my favorite book. It's not my favorite Jane Austen. It's still a 5-star. Don't yell at me yet. But this is not my favorite Jane Austen for many reasons, which I've talked about before. And I do love this book still. But the reason why this is one of the most impactful books for me is that I was doing a literature-based homeschool program when I was a teenager, and I basically was just not really caring about classics. I was reading a lot, but I didn't care about classics, and I was reading classics like Romeo and Juliet, and I was never one of those teenagers who understood angst. So Romeo and Juliet, I was like, why don't you just grow up? The whole play. And so things like that, I just did not care about. And then I also had to read, what did I have to read? The Handmaid's Tale, which was not a good thing to read at 14 years old. Another rant. Anyways, I had to read Pride and Prejudice for this course. And basically, when I read Pride and Prejudice, not this edition, I did not expect to love it. I just expected it to be another one of those classics I had to read for my course. And I was like, it's just a homework assignment. But when I read it, suddenly I was opened up to this world of amazing classics. I realized a classic can be new and interesting. It can be something that I can engage in. It can be dynamic with characters I can really enjoy. I can get caught up in a plot and I can not want to stop reading this book. It can be just as witty and clever as my modern books are, as opposed to my dry old Shakespeare plays that I had been reading were. And that's something that really impacted my entire reading life. From the time I read Pride and Prejudice is the time that I started reading classics and enjoying them and seeking out classics that I would actually enjoy, as opposed to classics that I just was forced to read and not just suffer through for schoolwork. So when I read Pride and Prejudice, I remember I read the first 12 chapters and I was like, this is just another one of those boring classics. And then I hit chapter 12 and I was like, this is one of the best things I ever read. I can't put it down. I need to read more. And that's when I realized classics aren't boring. Classics are amazing. You just have to find the right one. So that's why this is one of the most impactful books in my life. And then another one for a different reason entirely. So I don't even know if this is a good reason, but I just had to find a third, and this is the one I picked, was Ella Enchanted by Gail Carson Levine. I've heard her last name pronounced many different ways. That's how I pronounce it. So this is the first book that I ever read, and I watched the movie, and I was horrified at the film adaptation. I was horrified at what they had done, and I was so mad at what they had turned this book into as a movie. And I was so mad, and I ranted to a complete stranger at a camp retreat for my youth group. Well, a bunch of youth groups. And this was impactful in my life because I realized at this book that books and movies don't have to be the same, and I can still enjoy both of them. So I'm one of those people who I can definitely enjoy both the book and the movie, and I recognize that both can be good, even though the source material can be far superior, in some cases even far worse. But this is one case where the first book that I was just horrified. But I learned from this experience that I can enjoy both the book and the movie, and in this case, the book is better, but the movie is so different, it's not even comparable in this case. But that's what I learned from this book. So the last question to answer is from Angie from Literary Labors. Now, she asked, what other hobbies do I have? I, to be honest, don't really have other hobbies. Just due to health reasons and migraine reasons, a lot of my energy is put into work and my job, and then when I do have energy, I read. So I can read binging amounts, and I can read a lot. And then when I go through a week or two of not reading, it's just bad migraines. And honestly, when I don't read, I just don't have time. When people say that they love dancing or, going out and hiking, I literally can't. I just like to recuperate. So that's why I read. I also enjoy reading, but that's a benefit of reading, is that I can just recuperate. And that's also a great part of audiobook listening for me, is I can just listen while I lie down. But I also like watching TV because it's mindless and it's something that I can do. And for my migraines, at least, I can't stand, let me put it this way, I can't stand silence. If there's complete silence, my migraine gets worse. So I need something going on in the background. So that typically turns out to be TV. And I like watching true crime, a lot of true crime. I like watching game shows. I am a trivia junkie. I'm a lifetime learner, like I said earlier. So I also like learning stuff from courses sometimes, but that takes sometimes mental energy. So trivia games or game shows like that are very fun for me to watch, and then they're easy to focus in and out of. I also like sometimes watching just low-key sports, because I'm a weird person when it comes to what I watch on TV. Everyone in my life says so. I like watching curling, not hockey, and I'm Canadian, so that's a little strange for most people. I also don't like watching basketball typically, or I like watching baseball, but I don't like watching basketball or football or soccer really. I like watching 9-ball pool, like 9-ball billiards, or snooker. I like watching those things. So I like watching low-key stuff that doesn't take a lot of mind energy, or, fact-based stuff, because that's just more interesting to my brain. I just don't do a lot of other stuff. I do play a lot of games on my phone that are mindless for the most part, where it's just a lot of repetitive motion, but then it's easy to just do a repetitive motion and not focus on my migraine. So that's kind of my hobbies. For the most part, I just recuperate and try to recover my body while I get ready for the next day of life. And yeah, that's kind of all I do in my life. I work and I read and I rest up, because living with a chronic illness isn't really fun. But it is something I do, and it's something I I have worked with and I do enjoy a lot of my life. And I am an introvert, so it doesn't hurt either to just stay home and, you know, snuggle in with a good book. So, or to listen to a great audiobook either. So that's always a positive plus. Positive plus, what am I saying? I also am ready to not be filming anymore. But this video is longer than I thought, and it's only a Q&A. But thank you for watching. Please let me know down below if you have any other questions for me. Also about those 3 most impactful books, because I'd love to hear your 3 most impactful books. Thanks to Victoria for that question for everyone. And I will talk to you next time with another video. Bye for now.